Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling a section of Job that often gets, well, kind of skipped over.
Yeah, people know Job, right?
Yeah.
Suffering, friends giving bad advice.
Exactly. But tucked away in chapters 32 to 37, there's this whole other character, Elihu.
He doesn't get as much attention.
Nope. But he's got some fascinating things to say about suffering, about justice, about God. He's younger than Job's other friends,
And he's been listening this whole time.
which honestly makes his perspective so interesting.
It really does. While those friends are all about Job, you must have messed up to deserve this.
Elihu's got more empathy.
Way more. He even says to the others flat out, none of you have proved Job wrong.
That's in chapter 32, right? Where he explains why he's been so quiet.
Yeah, he says something like, I'm young, you guys are old, I held back.
Didn't dare to tell you what I know. That line always gets me.
It's relatable. Ever been in a situation where you've got a different take, but everyone else is like senior to you?
All the time. It makes you wonder how many good ideas get stifled just because someone's the youngest in the room.
Right. And then Elihu goes and does the thing, turns to Job directly in chapter 33. And he lays out this idea that suffering, it's not always punishment.
Whoa, hold on. That's different from what we've been hearing.
Totally. Elihu is saying it could be God's way of getting our attention, redirecting us, like refining us.
Like silver.
Exactly. He even uses that imagery. He tells Job, God does all these things to turn back his soul from the pit so the light of life can shine on him.
So not Job messed up, but maybe there's a purpose to this pain.
That even in the worst times, there's potential for growth, transformation.
I just think about those tough times we all go through, right?
Yeah.
What if some of those were actually opportunities? Even if we didn't see it at the time.
Deep stuff, right? Like, think back to a time in your life that was truly hard. Looking back now, did it shape you, change you for the better even?
Whoa, that's a powerful connection. But then, chapter 34, he dives into something a lot of people wrestle with. God's justice.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets tricky.
Elihu believes even when we don't understand, when things seem totally unfair, God is still just...
In all his actions.
It's hard to wrap your head around that when you're the one hurting.
It really is. But Elihu seems to be saying our human view of justice.
Yeah.
It's just limited.
Like we're not seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. And we got to trust that God, well, he's working on a level we can't fully grasp.
It's like he's urging Job and us listening to consider that maybe, just maybe, there's more going on behind the scenes than we know.
Bigger picture, yeah. And then chapter 35 rolls around and Elihu throws in another idea. This time it's about community, how we're all connected.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about me and God. My actions affect others.
Exactly. He says even if what we do doesn't hit God directly, there are ripple effects on the people around us.
It makes you think about that John Donne quote, right? No man is an island.
Totally.
Yeah.
Elihu's saying suffering might not always be our own fault, but
Yeah.
influenced by what others do, their choices,
Adds a whole other layer to it, doesn't it? Makes me think of times I've been on the receiving end of that, good or bad.
Yeah, we're all tangled up together more than we realize. But then, chapter 36, Elihu kind of switches gears.
No. How so?
He goes from justice, human action, to this awe, this wonder at God's power and wisdom. Starts using these poetic terms.
Give us an example.
He says, behold, God is exalted in his power, who is a teacher like him, who has prescribed his ways for him, or said to him, you have done wrong.
Wow. It's like he's reminding Job, reminding us that even if we don't get it, God's on a whole other level.
Operating on a scale we can't even comprehend. And it's interesting, he uses nature to illustrate this.
Oh, yeah, the rain, the lightning,
Yeah.
stuff we can't control.
But it's all orchestrated by God.
Yeah.
And then chapter 37, he goes all in on that image, paints this picture of a thunderstorm.
Wind, lightning, thunder, intense.
It's like he's setting the stage for God to show up, you know? Which, remember, he does. Speaks to Job right out of that whirlwind.
It's this cosmic prelude, right? Reminding us just how powerful God is. And leaves you hanging, like something big is about to happen.
For sure. So, taking Elihu's speeches as a whole, what's the takeaway for our listeners? What's the core message here?
I think for me, it's that Elihu, he really models how to wrestle with the tough stuff. Like, he doesn't shy away from the mystery of why bad things happen.
Or how God can be just when the world seems so unfair. He doesn't give easy answers.
No, but he pushes us to look deeper. And honestly, he doesn't pretend to have God all figured out.
There's this humility there, admitting we just don't have all the answers.
And that's okay.
Which is a huge part of faith, right? It's easy to believe when life's good.
But when things fall apart, That's the real test.
Exactly. And Elihu, even in those dark moments, he clings to hope. That belief in a God who's bigger than our problems.
It's comforting, even though it's tough to hear sometimes.
It is. And what makes Elihu different is he's not talking down to Job. It's like he's right there with him, struggling too.
Totally. He's asking the same questions, feeling that same confusion, which makes him so much more relatable. Not some distant authority, but someone on the same journey.
Wrestling with it all alongside us. And, you know, it's important to remember, Elihu's words aren't the end of Job's story.
Oh, yeah, good point. God himself steps in later,
But Elihu's like the bridge, getting us ready for that.
shifting our perspective. So when God does speak, it hits differently.
It's like narrative genius, the way it's set up.
Totally. Elihu makes us question our assumptions, see things in a new light, and honestly leaves us with more questions than answers.
Which maybe is the point. Maybe it's not about having it all figured out, but about being willing to ask the hard questions.
To wrestle with faith, with doubt, and trust that even when we're uncertain, God's still there working things out.
So as we finish up our deep dive into Elihu, think about this. How does what he says change your view of suffering, of faith?
Does his focus on justice, on purpose, and pain, on how we're all connected, does it resonate with you? What new questions does it spark for you?
And most importantly, how does it affect how you see God, his character, his role in your life?
That's something to ponder, isn't it? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's got you thinking, encouraged you to keep exploring the book of Job.
It's full of wisdom waiting to be uncovered.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.